The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And our main website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is Gail Z. Martin. She is the author of the new epic fantasy, Reign of Ash, which is published by Orbit Books, and Deadly Curiosities, a new urban fantasy novel that is published by Solaris. It's set in Charleston, South Carolina. She is also the author of Iceforged in the Ascendant Kingdoms saga, War of the Shadows, and Iron and Blood, which are books that she has published over the last couple of years. Now, she is the author of the Chronicles of the Necromancer series, The Summoner, The Blood King, Darkhaven, and Dark Ladies Chosen, which were published by Solaris Books, and The Fallen King Cycle, The Sworn, and The Dread from Orbit Books. She writes 2 series of ebook short stories, including the John Mark Van Hanian Adventures and the Deadly Curiosities Adventures. Her website, www.deadlycuriosities.com. And Gail, welcome back to the X-Zone after all these years.
Well, I'm thrilled to be back.
Well, we're so happy you're back. You are one busy lady.
Well, there are a lot of stories to tell, so, I just have to keep at it.
I have to ask you, where do you get the inspiration for all your stories?
It comes from everything I do. If I go to a museum, I'm going to see something there that just begs for a story. Sometimes just going to, I love to go to historic cities, and there'll be a monument, there'll be a story that I hear about something that happened in history, and I'll go, I can use that. And sometimes they're just odd things that happen from my real life that I just push into a little more of the X-Zone, so to speak, and take them a little stranger. And, there you go.
What's your most favorite historic city?
Oh, that's really tough because I love Charleston, and
Beautiful.
That's why I decided to set Deadly Curiosities there. But, New Orleans is gorgeous, Williamsburg, Virginia is gorgeous, and, don't even get me started on places like London and Rome and Edinburgh. I mean, there are just too many to count.
Wow. Sounds like you love traveling.
I do, and every place I go, I'm a sucker for museums. I am just happy as can be with a couple of hours to wander around at a museum, and I'll always find the weirdest, most unusual, most macabre stuff on exhibit.
I love museums as well. Whenever Laura and I go traveling, she knows that if I need to... She loves shopping. That's her thing. My thing is museums and historical sites. So our deal is, I'll go with you if you come with me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, and I do a lot of traveling with the books, and so whenever I can fit in an extra half day or so because, I've had to come in a day early anyhow.
Yeah.
You'll find me on a tour somewhere or in a museum if I can get there.
What kind of museums do you like? Do you like the historic museums, the art museums, the anthropological museums, the archaeological museums, or do you just like museums, period?
I just like museums, period. I was in Washington, D.C. earlier this year for a science fiction convention, and I had some extra time. Mm-hmm. So I was making my way down toward the Smithsonian buildings, and I passed the International Spy Museum.
Ooh.
Now, who can pass that up?
No one I know.
And they had a James Bond exhibit, so I had to go in there and of course got several new ideas for things as well. But sometimes those fun museums that are the little quirky ones can really be someplace you're going to see something that you just won't find anywhere else.
Well, all right, Money Penny, we've got to take a commercial break here. The James Bond Museum. Wow, that would be an idea, but a spy museum. Of course, where else would you have a spy museum except in Washington? Makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
You and I have to take our commercial break for this segment, my dear. Please stand by. Exo Nation, Gail Z. Martin is my special guest, and her website is www.deadlycuriosities.com. That's www.deadlycuriosities.com. She also does tweet lives at Gail Z. Martin. That's at Gail Z. Martin. Geez, I'll get Twitter right one of these days. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break in 2 minutes as we continue with our special guest this hour, Gail Z. Martin. So whatever you do, Exo Nation, don't go away because we have a lot in store for you this hour right here in the X Zone. Don't go away.
The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back, everyone. Gail Z. Martin is our special guest this hour. Her website is www.deadlycuriosities.com. Gail, what got you interested in the supernatural and the paranormal?
I've been interested in it for as long as I can remember. When I was a kid, we went on vacation one year, and I picked up this book of regional ghost stories from the Adirondack region where we were on vacation. And I think I read that book until the cover fell off. It was all these recounting of people's tales for seeing the ghost on the bridge or the ghost in the old house and all that. And I just loved it, and I went out looking for more of them. And I think ever since then I have been totally entranced with finding out, what's really out there and hearing people's stories of what they've seen.
You yourself, have you had any paranormal or supernatural events?
I haven't, which is kind of odd because of how long I've been interested in it, but I seem to attract a lot of friends and people around me who have, some pretty well-proven capabilities in that direction. So a lot of my friends are psychics or clairvoyants or have, had a pretty strong sixth sense. So maybe I'm just a magnet for that.
So how do you How do you use supernatural and or paranormal events in your writings?
Well, my characters all work with some level of magic, and of course it differs by series. So my Chronicles of the Necromancer series, I've got a necromancer who is actually the good guy, somebody who has the power to intercede between the living and the dead and can raise ghosts and speak with them and interact. So that was a really interesting capability to deal with, because most of the time when you see a necromancer in epic fantasy, they're the bad guy, bringing forth the legions of the undead. And in this case, you've got somebody who's trying to deal with a major magical power and really sweating some of the ethics and the morality of it, and what can he do, what should he do, and how does that play into all the rest of the politics and the dire circumstances. So that was a lot of fun.
So if you yourself have not had a paranormal, supernatural experience, why do you believe?
I think that the world is a wonderful place full of mysteries, and I don't think we've figured them all out yet. I have enough friends who have told me about their firsthand experiences. I've read enough about people's firsthand experiences to believe that there are things out there we just don't understand. And we may, be digging for a while here to figure out what really causes them, but they're out there and they happen, and I don't think that the question is, have they happened? The question is, well, what made them happen and what's the cause? And that's where I'm intrigued.
All right, you're at your house with a group of your friends, and one of your friends starts telling you a story. Has any of their stories ever just made the hair on the back of your neck stand up? And if so, can you share the story with us?
Oh, absolutely. One of my friends who is very active with a ghost hunting group, they go out and try to document the supernatural activity at places that are haunted, told me about her first experience. And she was a teenager, and she went over to visit a friend. Friend lived in, an old Victorian house. And she sat on the couch while her friend went into the kitchen to get them a soda. And an old lady came from the hallway, walked into the living room, stopped at the edge of the couch and looked at her, and then turned around to walk out. And as she walked out, my friend realized that the woman didn't have a lower half to her body, and then she just disappeared.
Oh, my gosh.
And yet when she was coming toward my friend, it never occurred to her that this wasn't just, somebody's grandmother. And when her friend came back from the kitchen, she told her what happened. She said, "Oh yeah, that's my grandmother. She just passed."
So nonchalantly.
Yeah. And I hear those kinds of stories all the time, and I'm just fascinated with them, and always have been. So I love touring haunted places. I love going on graveyard tours. I'll be doing that in New Orleans here and also in Charleston. But at least for now, I'm just going to have to settle for secondhand stories.
Well, you know what? I respect ghost organizers, ghost tour operators, researchers, because what they are doing in essence is they keep history alive. They're the greatest historians we have.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
And, I think in my mind, I really make a distinction between the people like my friend who are going out there and trying to document what is actually going on at sites where there have been unexplained phenomenon. And some of the very hyped stuff you see on TV where you've really got a half hour of people with green light going, "Did you hear that? What was that?" It's kind of silly. Although I have to admit, from time to time, I'll get suckered in and watch them.
I've got to tell you something. I used to watch it, but I don't anymore because it's so hokey. Like if I ever decided to do a ghost series with what I know, my Lord. But I don't believe the public should be suckered into believing anything. If you're going to do it right. Let them decide. If you're going to show them something, don't stage it, don't fake it. Because credible ghost researchers will tell you that the majority